Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out Britain in 1983, the year of seatbelts, £1 coins, and breakfast TV.
Welcome to the Retro Rollback.
Thank you.
What was Great Britain like in the 1980s?
Good question.
Well, this series looks at the timeline of news, events, and happenings across the UK each year. And this time, we're going back to 1983.
Alright. Y'all be sure to go to Retro Rollback and like and subscribe. And maybe give me a like and subscribe here.
It was a good start to the year for the nation's children, as they got their own mini TV channel in January.
Oh.
ITV rebranded their late afternoon segment to Children's ITV, with a raft of new programs for kids just in time for them getting home from school.
Smart.
New programs included Alphabet Zoo and He-Man. News-wise, the year...
Alright. In the US, we had Nickelodeon around the same time. I can relate.
News-wise, the year started in sadness. On the 5th of January, 2 policemen and a policewoman drowned in the Irish Sea at Blackpool's North Shore, whilst attempting to rescue a man who entered the sea to save his dog, both of whom
I'm more sad about the dog.
also drowned. A special memorial now stands to them on the promenade by the town's Ginn
Where's the
Square.
dog?
Where's
the dog in that memorial, y'all? Come on, maybe the stuff on the ground is for the dog. Man, I'm sorry these 4 people died, but a dog is a soul too? Probably. There's a butt crack. That's some 1980s butt crack right there, y'all.
Back to TV, and a big step change in the television landscape happened on the 17th of January as the BBC launched Britain's first live television breakfast programme, simply called Breakfast Time. Frank Buff had the honour of launching the programme.
It's 6:30, Monday, January the 17th, 1983. You're watching the first edition of BBC Television's Breakfast Time, Britain's first ever regular early morning television programme.
Good.
Nice jumper, Frank.
Wow, first ever. Seems like that's been around for a lot longer than the 80s. I mean, I guess in America we have the Today Show, CBS Morning, ABC, I don't know. There's a bunch of them. It's easy to get hooked on a morning show, you know? Because you sort of just have it on while you're drinking coffee and you get the news of the day or the day before, but then you start to feel like these people are your friends. And then you look them up online and you find their address and you go to their home. You look in their window, knock on their door, and it gets complicated.
Meanwhile, 2 weeks later, David Frost had the honour of launching its rival over on ITV, TVAM.
Oh, that was quick. I'm sorry, when? How much later?
Meanwhile, 2 weeks later, David Frost had the honour
2 weeks later
of launching its rival over on ITV, TVAM.
Good Morning Britain. That's a better name.
Hello, good morning and welcome to TVAM. New studios, a new news service and a new national network.
Which one did you prefer? Let us know down in the comments.
Well, yeah, which one did you prefer? I'm leaning towards the David Frost one, because it's a better name.
January was a busy month and it ended with an important new law coming into effect. From the 31st of the month, it was no longer legal to drive or sit in the front seat of a car without wearing a seatbelt.
I'm on board with that.
Government public service announcements were aplenty on TV, radio, and in the newspapers at the time. As the campaign to enforce the new law escalated.
Crunch.
One of the UK's most...
That's graphic. Wow.
As the campaign to enforce the...
Whoa. Let's watch that again.
Plenty on TV, radio, and in the newspapers at the time.
Crash.
As the campaign to enforce the new law escalated.
Wow. They got that. That looks like a real human being going through the windshield, y'all. That's graphic. What year did seatbelts become the law in the USA? Seatbelt use was voluntary until New York became the first state to require vehicle occupants to wear seatbelts as of December 1st, 1984. So, we were behind. Again.
One of the UK's most notorious serial killers was arrested in February after the discovery of dismembered human remains were found at a block of flats in London's Muswell Hill.
Wow. Okay. Let's see if I can read that a little bit. I can't read it. It's blurry. 17 bodies in murder horror. The grisly secrets of number 23 Cranley Gardens.
Dennis Nilsson was held captive and later convicted and given a whole life tariff. A TV documentary about his story was made many years later, starring David Tennant.
How many people did he kill? Dennis Nelson. Nilsson. Okay. Oh, he looks like a serial killer. When can we start arresting serial killers based on what they look like? Look at this guy. Put him away immediately. He was a Scottish serial killer and necrophile who murdered at least 12 young men and boys between 1978 and 1983. Oh my God, I can't repeat a lot of the stuff in his Wikipedia on YouTube. So, we're just gonna move on. I'm glad he was put away. He shouldn't be out here with the rest of us, right?
A TV documentary about his story was made many years later, starring David Tennant. In the 1980 episode of this series, we covered the launch of the Austin Metro car. By February 1983, it had become Britain's bestseller, having outsold every other new car registered in the UK during January.
Nice.
On the back of the success of the Metro, British Leyland launched a new model in March, the Austin Maestro, which replaced the Maxi and the Allegro, which had both been popular throughout the 1970s.
It's a good-looking car. Their proportions are right. See? Yeah, that's a good-looking car. 60 miles per
We
gallon.
had a new coin in our pockets from April 1983, as the £1 coin was first minted. The first coins were different from today, as they were round, as opposed to the decagonal ones that we see today. The coin was introduced to phase out the Bank of England £1 notes, which ceased in 1984.
Oh, wow, that's so interesting. In my mind, you go from coin to paper money. But this is going from paper money to coin. I'm confused.
On to May, and Alex Ferguson was flying high with his team Aberdeen. They achieved something almost unthinkable nowadays. They beat Spanish giants Real Madrid in the final in Gothenburg to win the European Cup Winners' Cup. The match finished 1-1 after 90 minutes, and Fergie's men clinched the trophy with an extra-time goal from John Hewitt. Aberdeen only made third in the league in 1983, and it was Dundee United that took the title with a last-day win away to next-door neighbours Dundee.
It's so funny to hear these team names because I have no point of reference. I don't know where. I mean, I know where Aberdeen is, I guess. Sort of. Roughly. I know it's in Scotland. Or Texas. Kilmarnock? Killarmock? I don't know who these people are.
Liverpool took the Division 1 title with a convincing 11-point lead.
I know where that is.
A great season for Watford, though, in second, and in stark contrast to the table today, Manchester City were relegated to the second division.
Oh, Manchester City's down here in the red. Liverpool's 1. Manchester United is number 3. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I always forget in European football where if your team sucks, you're down in the lower division. Get down. You can't compete with us. You can't compete with the top 19 teams. Get the f*** out of here.
The war on dodgy parking ramped up in May as the first wheel clamps were deployed in the UK. The Metropolitan Police started the experiment, and between its introduction in May and mid-November of 1983, 22,430 vehicles have been clamped, giving a gross revenue of £431,418.
Dang.
And they say parking fines are not designed to make a profit.
Wow. The thing I took away from that is that you call those things wheel clamps. We call them boots. I like the term wheel clamp better because it explains what it is. Boot could be the trunk, could be footwear, could be a verb. It's confusing. Wheel clamp, y'all. Wheel clamp.
As summer began in June, we were abandoning the great outdoors to cram into cinemas as the latest Bond movie dropped.
Which
the
one?
13th in the 007 franchise saw Roger Moore make his 7th appearance as James Bond in Octopussy.
I remember that well. When it played on HBO, probably a couple years later. But yeah, Octopussy was huge. I loved Roger Moore.
make his 7th appearance as James Bond in Octopussy.
7th? That was his 7th?
In-
Wow. Way to go, Roger.
As James Bond in Octopussy.
Sir Moore.
In politics, June the 9th was polling day in the general election, which saw a landslide victory for Margaret Thatcher's Conservative government, with a 144-seat majority. It gave Thatcher her second term as Prime Minister.
If there's ever a time machine that only I have access to, one of the things I'm going to do is go back to Britain in 1978, 79, and show the people what Thatcherism does. Here comes selling off the country for scraps.
An iconic British TV show made its debut in June. The historical sitcom Blackadder, which made household names of Rowan Atkinson, Tony Robinson, Stephen Fry, and Hugh Laurie.
Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie were on Blackadder? Really? Hey, written by Richard Curtis and Rowan Atkinson. They must not have been part of the main cast because I don't see their names here. So maybe they just made appearances. That would be normal for like their first acting roles.
Now, all through this series, we're taking a break halfway through from the headlines to see how much things cost. So before we head into July, let's take a look at some prices from 1983.
Oh no.
Check out 83 was a slogan from Tesco. A packet of washing powder was £1.99, a tin of peas 11.5 pence, and a 4-pack of lager
What?
was £1.39.
11 cents for peas? Wow. I'm paying like $4.99 for frozen peas. It's too expensive. Damn it, y'all. That's depressing. Damn it.
For the tech heads, a new Seisho car stereo from Dixon's would have set you back $9.99.
What?
Top of the range.
Whoa. That says $39.99. For a stereo cassette player, £40.
Top of the range stuff. As we started August, new cars had a slightly new look, as the configuration of UK registration plates had changed. No longer was the year of registration letter at the end of the plate, it was now at the beginning, as the new A-Reg cars started hitting Britain's roads.
Okay.
To November now, and the first United States cruise missiles arrived at the RAF Grenham Common Base in Berkshire, amid mass protests from peace campaigners at the Grenham Common Women's Peace Camp. Actor John Le Mesurier.
What? Cruise missiles? Huh? A Grenham Common Women's Peace Camp was established in protest at the deployment of cruise missiles in 1981. The protesters became known as the Grenham Women, or Peace Women, and their 19-year protest drew worldwide media and public attention. Did it work? I doubt it worked. I don't know. I bet there are all kinds of our missiles all over your country. For better or worse, right? I don't know.
Actor John Le Mesurier passed away in November of 1983 at the age of 71. John, famous for his laid-back style, was best known as the suave but largely ineffectual Sergeant Wilson in the BBC sitcom Dad's Army. He lived an unusual and well-documented personal life away from the limelight.
Hang on, what was his name?
John Le Mesurier.
John Le Mesurier. John Le Mesurier. What's his interesting personal life? Tell me about it. He was born in 1912. Wow, if he was still alive, he would be 113? It's almost his birthday. He played a lot of army officers, apparently. And he did a lot of comedy. He didn't like school, y'all. How did he die? What happened? He was a heavy drinker, but was never noticeably drunk. High functioning. In 1977, he collapsed in Australia and flew home, where he was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver and ordered to stop drinking. It happens. He claimed that his calculated vagueness was the result of his dependence on cannabis. He liked to visit jazz clubs. That's the cannabis, y'all. Don't be listening to that jazz music. It leads to cannabis. Eric Sykes said after he died, Quote, I never heard a bad word said against him. He was one of the great drolls of our time. What's a droll? Oh, like a funny guy. Okay. How did he die? He was hospitalized for a short time after suffering a hemorrhage. When the condition recurred later in the year, he was taken to Ramsgate Hospital after saying to his wife, it's all been rather lovely. He slipped into a coma and died. Those are nice last words. Good for him. Congratulations, sir. On a life well lived.
At the end of the month, a large-scale, high-value robbery took place. 6,800 gold bars worth nearly £26 million were taken from the Brinks Mat vaults at Heathrow Airport. Only a fraction of the gold was ever recovered, and only 2 men were ever convicted of the crime.
Where did
As
it
the
all
year
go?
drew to a close, the
What happened to it?
were taken from the Brinks Mat vaults at Heathrow Airport,
Holy crap. They keep that at the airport?
and only 2 men were ever convicted of the crime.
And those 2 guys were probably just grunts, fall guys. 26 million pounds, equivalent to 111 million pounds in 2023. They tried to convince one of the guys who got arrested to exchange the rest of the gold bars for a reduced sentence, but he denied it. It's like, no. They put out a reward of 2 million pounds to locate the gold, but they got like 26 million. 1 million pounds of gold was found stored at the Bank of England. Okay. In 1996, about half of the gold, the portion which had been smelted and recast, was thought to have found its way back into the legitimate gold market. According to the BBC, some have claimed that anyone wearing gold jewelry bought in the UK after 1983 is probably wearing Brinks Mat gold. The rest of the gold was believed to have been buried. What a waste! Lloyd's of London made a record insurance payout of £26 million. Wow, amazing.
As the year drew to a close, the IRA were making their mark in the capital as a car bomb exploded outside Harrods on a busy Christmas shopping Saturday afternoon,
Wow.
resulting in 6 deaths. And finally, a new invention was
Harsh.
unveiled in 1983 by a British entrepreneur. James Dyson unveiled his new prototype vacuum cleaner,
Wow.
the invention that was to make him a very wealthy man in the years to come.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah, who knew just making a vacuum cleaner look cool would make a fortune? Let's look at it. That is the trendiest looking vacuum cleaner. It looks like a Barbie toy. You know? Like a girl's toy from 1983. Sexism.
unveiled his new prototype vacuum cleaner, the invention that was to make him a very wealthy man in the years to come. And that's what happened in 1983.
All right.
If you have any memories of the year, please do share them in the comments section below and keep the conversation going and bring back more memories for more people. It's always great to hear from you. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button and hit subscribe as well to keep up to date with all of our new videos. There's a couple on screen now you can take a look at to continue your journey through time. Otherwise, thanks very much for your company once again.
Right
and I'll
on.
see you again on the next one.
Y'all be sure to go to Retro Rollback and like and subscribe. I'm disappointed there's no memorial to the dog at that beach. The dog drowned too, y'all. Come on. We're just moving our way through the 80s in Britain. This is interesting. You kind of see how it's all fitting together. And there are echoes from the States that I remember. Just echoes, right? Well, y'all, I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.